right, I'd like to call our regular board meeting to order. We'd all rise and say the pledge with me, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, clerk, please call the roll.
Marevka? Here. Jones?
Here.
Sluse? Here. Parker?
Here.
Ham?
Here.
Bowden?
Sure. All right, in your packet were the minutes from our August 10th regular village board meeting. Are there any additions or corrections? If not, a motion to approve those minutes.
Motion it.
Second.
Been moved by trustee Marevka, seconded by trustee Parker.
Marevka?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Ham?
Present.
Bowden?
Yes.
Jones?
Present.
Sluse?
Yes.
Next, accounts payable and payroll. The payroll pay period ending August 8th, 2020 for $45,809.90. Accounts payable, the general fund, $32,155.12, and the motor fuel tax fund, $11,250 for a total of $43,405.12. Are there any questions on any of the bills?
I just had a question. What is the call one for $2,172.34?
Call one is our phone service, and we just transitioned over to voice over IP, and so some of those charges have the installation costs in them.
Okay.
So that should.
Okay, that was the only one I had a question on.
Any other questions? Okay, if not, I'll entertain a motion to approve, pay the bills.
Motion. Second.
Been moved by trustee Jones, seconded by trustee Ham.
Jones?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
Marevka?
Yes.
Bowden?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Sluse?
Yes.
Okay, next is public comment or questions. This is your chance to make any comments at all about anything, including what's on the agenda. This is not a public hearing, so the public hearing for the zoning case that we had, of course, happened last Wednesday. But this is your chance, if you want to talk about anything, to let us to know what you want to say. Make sure that if you do want to say something, give us your name. And if you are talking about the zoning case, one thing I want to say is, first of all, I think everybody on the board here knows the value of Helping Hands. Nobody here is against Helping Hands at all. We all think it's a wonderful organization. We want to keep it in Peatone, so don't think any of this is, any of us are against Helping Hands. We're clearly, the only thing we are going to be deciding here is if the variance that was applied for makes sense to us and to the village. So with that being said, open up the public comment about that issue or any other issue.
Would you like me to speak to the microphone, or can everyone hear me okay?
I think we're good there.
Okay, sounds good. Hi, everybody. My name is Alex Regetz, and I'm the minister at Community Presbyterian Church. A few months back, you all had an application before you to split our property at 200 West Crawford Street so that we could sell the old sanctuary building and have it converted into a single-family home, which could welcome some new family to Peatone and provide some added tax revenue for the village, while keeping the brick building behind it, which houses the Helping Hands Food Pantry, as you said, but also Alcoholics Anonymous meets there, the annual coat drive in the winter happens there, and a number of other community groups and community-focused events happen in that building. Now, you all raised some valid concerns that night, and unfortunately, due to COVID, I couldn't be here in person to talk through them. So I certainly don't fault any of you for making the decisions you did all those months ago. You were doing the best that you could with the information you have at the time. I truly believe that, but I'm hoping that there will be a different resolution tonight. Since that last meeting, I sent all of you a letter which addressed in detail each concern that was raised at that meeting. But here in this time for public comment, I'd really like to focus on the major issues that you discussed. So it seemed at the previous meeting like your main concern was that if you allow us to split the property, the village will be less able to control what the food pantry building turns into in the event that we ever sell it down the road. Now, let me first assure you that we have no intention of ever selling that building. We are a part of this community. We want to remain a part of this community. And ironically, the merger that left us with an extra sanctuary building was entered into so that we could have the financial resources and the people resources to continue our work in Piatone for another 150 years. Still, I understand that even with all of our buildings paid off and an endowment to provide stability and the influx of people we received from the First Presbyterian Church in Manteno, some of you will still have this nagging thought that says, what if they have to close in 20 years anyway? And to that, I'll say that even in that worst case scenario, you're still better off having this building in our hands rather than the hands of any other buyer. Because here's the thing, this isn't about money for us. If it was, we could make more money by selling both buildings. And we could save money by no longer paying the utilities or maintenance for the pantry building and no longer including the pantry under our church's insurance policies. Our only motivation here is serving this community in the best way that we can. That's why we merged, that's why we're here before you again, and that's why you don't need to worry about what would happen even in your worst case scenario. Because the fact is, we've set up the pantry in such a way that it has a board of directors that is separate from our church, which includes people from all across the community. It has financial accounts that are separate from our church, and it receives plenty of financial assistance from this whole entire community. And there is a clause written into our bylaws that would allow the pantry to become a separate 501c3 organization if it were ever beneficial for them to do so. Now, it's not beneficial, not at the moment, because the pantry benefits from being a ministry of our church by being able to stay covered under our insurance, by having paperwork streamlined through the presbytery, and by not having to pay the utilities for their building. But in the event that everyone is understandably worried about where the church could no longer continue, there is already an existing structure in place that would allow for the pantry to continue as a separate entity still operating from this building. And in this nightmare scenario, the simplest thing we could do is gift them the building so our work can continue. Again, it doesn't help our ministries to do that now. But in the scenario you're most afraid of, where the church is unexpectedly closing, it would be the most logical choice for us to make. But even ignoring all of those things I just said, if for some reason you just don't trust us, I hope you all can realize that leaving us with no choice but to sell these two buildings together doesn't solve your problem. It only accelerates it. Because now, instead of having a buyer you don't want purchasing this pantry building 50 years from now, the same thing can happen next month. And in that case, we wouldn't need your approval because we wouldn't be changing the zoning. So I would argue that if you want the village to maintain some control, then splitting the property is actually your best option, because you know that the sanctuary building will be turned into a beautiful home, and you know that we will remain in the Helping Hands building serving this community. Whereas if we have to sell both buildings, the truth is we don't know what will happen to either one. And finally, I'll say this. I know there was a lot of discussion around this idea that we should sell both buildings and then lease back the Helping Hands building from whoever buys it. And I'll say that such an arrangement might be possible, but our session has already thoroughly considered it as an option, and it's not something we're comfortable with. We've decided that even if our application is denied, we will not move forward in that direction. We want to own the property that our ministries are operating out of. We think that allows them to operate at their best capacity. And frankly, we don't think that's an unreasonable request. So if we cannot maintain ownership of the building, and we have no option but to sell the two buildings together, then we would have to move the pantry to a new space. And doing so could disrupt any number of our distribution days, and there's no guarantee that the space we do find would still be in town, which means the community services that we offer could become less accessible to Peatone residents. And the various groups that volunteer with us from the high school and from other places might not be able to work with us anymore. And that's a problem for our ministries, but I'd also argue that's a problem for the formation of our students here in Peatone. So I understand that some of you would really like us to consider the option of a long-term lease because you think it gives the village a little more control over what happens down the road. But I'm telling you that we have discussed it, and it's no longer an option on the table. I understand your concerns, and I understand that you are not placed in an easy position being the elected representatives of the people of Peatone. I don't envy the decisions you have to make, and I really do trust that you all want what is best for this community. Things got out of hand on one of the community message posts on Facebook or something, and I made a point to say, wait. They weren't voting to cancel Helping Hands. They were voting about a zoning issue. We weren't there to defend our position, and you have to give them another chance. So I'm telling you, I do trust that you guys have the best interests of this community in heart, but we do too. We want what's best for the people of Peatone, and we wholeheartedly believe that the best thing is for this variance to be approved. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your consideration.
All right. Anybody else? And, thank you for, I kind of let you go because this is your case, but normally public comment we limit to 3 minutes, so everybody else kind of try to keep it nice and short. And if you don't have anything new to say, you just kind of say, I agree with what you said, okay?
Thank you, Peter. I'd like to segue off of what the pastor spoke about there. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Steve Stein. I'm superintendent of Peatone Schools. Over the years, and as I said, perfect segue from pastor's comments here, over the years, students who attend Peatone Schools have been linked with the Helping Hands Food Organization in one of two ways. At the high school level, and pastor mentioned this, Helping Hands has provided our students with a very tangible link to the importance of community engagement and civic responsibility. On Tuesday mornings prior to the Wednesday food distribution, PHS students travel over to the Helping Hands building to assist in unloading the food delivery truck. This is very helpful for our volunteers, and I know that I have had great accolades from the volunteers for our student volunteers who have come over for the last few years. This same group of students then returns on Thursday morning to assist in the cleanup of Wednesday's food distribution. Not only are the students providing support for families seeking nutritional assistance, but they are also working closely with a number of our senior citizens in a positive and productive manner. Most importantly, though, Helping Hands is a charitable organization that has a number of our students and their families, has a number of our students and families that rely on the supplemental nutritional support that is provided. Though many people in Peatone do not directly see the need in front of them for nutritional support in our community, that need is definitely there. I urge you to make certain that there are no obstacles in particular with regard to zoning restrictions that are in the way of the good work that Helping Hands and its volunteers provide to the community and the children who attend Peatone schools. Thank you very much for your time.
I'm Mark Gerling. I'm an elder and I'm with the session of the Manteno Presbyterian Church. Before that, I was a member and an elder of the Peatone Presbyterian Church. I was part of the group that worked with the merger and trying to see if it will work. Our number one concern was how we were going to maintain our footprint here in Peatone. My concern, Peatone's concern, and Manteno's. We knew a time would come where we would have to sell the church, okay? But we didn't know how to save the building. Our concern is yours, but you're worried 20 years from now. But you know, buyer number one buys the church and then something happens, or buys the property, right? Something happens 5 years down the road and he sells it to an unsavory character and then we lose our lease or something like that. And that's our concern. That's why we want to split it so we can control it and maintain the ministry here. The pantry's not going away. It's a community thing. We all know that. But we're just trying to avoid the headache and the hassle and oh my gosh, you know, what if we can't find a proper place right in the township? So to me, I'm not speaking for the church, I just don't know why you wouldn't want to do this. I mean, it's a win-win-win for everybody. We unload our building, okay, but buyer gets a nice home, you guys get the taxes, and we still keep the pantry going, you know? So that's just my comment. I appreciate you listening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mind if I say a word? I feel incredibly awkward getting up here after all of you guys and that awesome thing, because this is totally unrelated. I just wanted to say my name is Charlie Ormiston. I own EMS Towing here and right outside on Ratchy Road in Peatone. We are a growing company, been in business for about the last 5 years. I've been in towing and owned my own company since I was 18, unfortunately. But we are very interested in growing with this community and being a part of this. We're not your typical towing company. We actually believe in helping people and doing the best for people. Very interested in towing for Peatone and also doing whatever we can to assist anything we can in Peatone. This is where we're grounding our roots and we're very committed to this community. So I just wanted to introduce myself and let you all know we're here.
Do you have any information we can forward to the administrator?
I can, anything she'd like, I can definitely get you whatever you'd like. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? This is your last chance. All right. So that closes the public comment portion of our meeting. If it's okay with the trustees. Oh, I'm sorry.
Tracy.
Yeah, Tracy, are you there from Aqua?
Hello, guys.
Hi. Do you want to give us an update on Aqua issues, please?
Yes. First off, this morning, Avenue Project, we have received the commercial operating permit. So we got the okay to start installing services. We have installed all of the mains except for the railroad crossing. Unfortunately, we're still waiting on that permit. I believe that Robinson's engineer has reached out to the railroad again today concerning that. Fortunately, this will not interfere with the IDOT
questions? All right, thanks for calling in, Tracy.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so that concludes our public comment portion. If the trustees don't have any objection, I'd like to move up our new business E, planning and zoning case. I'd like to move that up to now so that once it's decided, the crowd can disperse so we don't keep people in here any longer than possible. So anybody have any objection to that? Okay, so Amy, why don't you just give a little background of the last Wednesday's meeting?
So, if we get to the case, and you have in front of you the findings of fact that was an addition tonight in front of you, the report wasn't in your packet. So, it has the vote on it, which wasn't high, but you have planning case EZ20 E02 was our second planning case of the year. We don't have much activity. They were our first case of the year too. So they're our second case. They reapplied, submitted for a variance for lot coverage and for, I need to look at the case.
Lot size.
Lot size. So we had a public hearing on August 19th for 200 West Crawford Street.
So basically, they're asking for a variance from minimum lot size in R3 zoning, which is 12,000 square feet to 9,900 square feet. And also, the maximum lot coverage allowed is 30%, and that building would be 31%. So,
In the R3 zoning, so they would
Right.
split the lot, so that the church sanctuary would be on the north lot, and the Helping Hands would be on the south lot. The variances that they're requesting would be just on the south lot. The sanctuary would be a totally conforming lot in the R3 zoning, and the variances they were requesting would just be on the lot to the south, which would be Helping Hands building would be sitting on. There's an exhibit in your packet that shows how it would be split and how it would be configured.
there was also an exhibit in there, petitioners had kind of drawn in some possible parking areas, and I know that was a concern if the Helping Hands building was ever turned into a residential building, they would have to have off-street parking, so they kind of drew in some spots for that. I also had Amy give you some copies of our current ordinance. So this is R3 zoning, and so there was some concern last time about what would happen if Helping Hands left that building and they sold that building. And really, the only thing that could happen without our input would be turn that into a single-family residence. It can't be anything else without people coming in and getting a special use permit. So the most that you could have there, the most that would be allowed would be a duplex. And again, that would have to come in for a special use. There's some other uses that are listed as special uses, but really with the parking restrictions there really isn't, a whole lot else that could be done there. So again, like I said before, this isn't about whether we want Helping Hands or not. Everybody loves Helping Hands, but not just in the community. This is about the zoning case and whether we want to allow having an R3 lot that's 9,900 square feet and lot coverage of 39% instead of 30%. So I believe that building's almost 4,000 square feet. I think it's like 30, I don't know, 36, 38, something like that, so. I mean, that's part of the problem why it's, the lot coverage is an issue, because it's a bigger building on a smaller lot, so. Anyway, questions, discussion from the trustees?
I have a question for the attorney. The one gentleman stated that if they leased it back and then the new owner sold the property, they could just be ousted by the new owner. But can it be written into the legal agreement on the sale that if they've got a 50-year lease or a 100-year lease, that goes with the property? Nobody could toss them out.
I mean, I can't really speak to what their lease arrangement would be. You can put all kinds of stuff into the lease, but at the end of the day, people can end up breaking in, fighting over it, and all kinds of things. It's different because it's a contract between private parties than something that's actually like a deed restriction that's recorded against the property. It can be more easily enforced.
Well, wouldn't they want a deed restriction, so that would be the case? My experience is that I purchased a building before with those deed restrictions in there, that there were certain things that I could not do. And it was in a normal business district.
Right, so they could work with their attorney perhaps on language that would be conditional for their, but they're not selling it is the problem, so it's hard. I guess they could record a lease against the property, and then that would be there, and enforceable, that provision would be there, but it's not as strong, I would say, as the deed restriction, where you're actually transferring the property, so. I guess the answer is they could work with some things, but that's kind of something they'd have to work with their private attorney.
Another comment that I've got, the one gentleman stated that we're looking ahead 20 or 25 years, and they're looking in the present. It's kind of our duty as board members to project out and think ahead, not shoot from the hip on every item that comes up, and to protect the village and the neighborhood and the neighbors and property values and what may or may not transpire.
Any other comments?
So I was at the P&Z meeting and I saw the presentation, and actually tonight's presentation was the best that I've seen. So thank you for answering a whole bunch of questions. I want to reiterate, voting against this does not mean I'm against Helping Hands. Of course I like Helping Hands. The zoning issue is a problem. I think we all can agree that the zoning issue is a problem. You kind of cleaned up some of the why you don't just move away and what your concerns are to selling and this and that. I didn't think about the lease aspect. And you talked a little bit about parking, and I'm a parking, but okay. But what do we know about the original church building? All we know is you're selling it to a developer on a corner lot in our historic district. It's very close to our downtown. We're trying to keep out so I wish I knew more about the guy who's buying the building and what his intentions are.
That's me.
That's great. Can you tell us what your intentions are with the building?
Am I allowed to speak or?
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, so I plan to convert it to a single-family home because I don't know if you've been in there, but it's got vaulted ceilings. I'm gonna scrape the floor and just level that out, and it's gonna be an open floor plan, and then I'm gonna go around and put the bedrooms and bathrooms around the thing. But it's got excellent space, it's got excellent size, and I think that it's gonna be unique. So I've got 83 rentals of Bradley, Borbonis, Peatone, Beecher. This will be the funnest project I've gotten. So I'm actually real excited to get this piece. And for me, I just look at it as right now, what is your use, right? Right now, the use is a church and a this. If they sell those together, I'm not going to be able to buy both of those that have some use for that. Neither is anybody else that wants to do single family. You may get another church, and it may be a type of church you don't want. there's a significant risk that I don't think I've heard anybody mention to that if they have to sell them together, you're not going to get someone like me that wants to convert it to a single-family home and really make it a showpiece, right? This will be my best before and after ever. Because it's got some huge wooden doors that I'm going to incorporate into the bedrooms. I mean, it'll be neat. But to me, I just think the use right now, you're going to eliminate the church part of it, which I'm sure the neighbors would appreciate, right? So if they were using it every Sunday, you'd have all that parking, that's gone. Now you've got a single-family home. It's like you're getting closer, right? You're getting closer to that. But if you force them to sell them together, you don't know who you're going to get. And if it's another church, they're not going to have to come in here, right? The churches, they bypass any zoning you want to put in place. They have that right. That's law. So that's what I would say, but it may be a church you just don't like. What if it's a halfway house? What if they use this as their church and that building is the halfway house? I wouldn't take that risk, right? To me, that's a significant risk that you should put in place and consider. If you think the neighbors don't like the food bank being there for some reason, you may get somebody that really scared, and then they're gonna come back here and say, you could have had this as a single-family home in the food bank. We like the church that's there now running the food bank. A single-family home is a huge step up from in terms of parking and inconvenience to those neighbors in certain days. So that's what I would say in terms of my intent, right? I'm converting it to single-family home, and I think it'll be one of the neatest ones you'll see.
That would have been helpful information, I think, at the P&Z meeting, that would have been helpful information a while ago. So as far as I'm looking at a sketch here where there's gravel parking. Are you really into the gravel parking there in that corner?
So I have to see what they'll approve, right? So I have to pull a permit. So if they'll approve, right, I want to put a garage, and then I want to put because this house, right, I mean, this is going to be a $250,000 house when it's done. When you look at the size and look at some of the character that it has, I think it's going to be more enticing to somebody. I mean, that's neat stuff to some people, right?
You're going to put that much money into it? You're going to put $200,000 in that building?
No, I'm going to put about 120 into that building. It's going to be worth 250.
Okay.
Right? It's going to be worth 250. But I'm not going to make any money if I put in, right? If I put in more than what I can sell, or and I don't know if I'm even going to sell it. I may rent it for a while, just because I think it's a project I want to keep. Because then I can showcase that and say, hey, these are the rentals that I have. So I don't just have the cookie cutter boxes, right, which are kind of a bread and butter. I've got some really neat ones too, and sometimes people want that. And to me, that's as a rental, business, that's a value, right? Is to be able to say, hey, I've got some big ones. I've got some runs with some unique, and hey, look at the ceilings in here. Try to find this anywhere.
So gravel parking. So again, this is more information I kind of want to draw out of this proposal is, what are we thinking? I think we've talked enough about the church, or the pantry, but the church, we've kind of sidestepped that whole thing. And it's in a prime location in downtown with the factory. So I'm going to hear more about that gets us comfortable with, okay, there's some trade-offs, but this is an acceptable trade-off for what this project will be.
Well, if you want to go ahead and give me the approval for the garage now, I'll take it. Because this has been a bit of a process, right? I mean, we've been under contract for many months, and really, if we could get this going and get this moving, we can get some, because the longer that thing sits vacant, the more risk there is to losing some of that. And that is my concern, is the longer that church sits vacant, there's risk where significant damage can occur because nobody's in there, right? And heating, cooling, all that stuff plays a big part of that. And at some point, it becomes where you can't give me certain buildings because the numbers just don't work.
All right. Any other questions? Trustees, discussion among ourselves? All right. If not, so I will entertain a motion to either approve or try to go ahead with this or not. We do not have an ordinance prepared for this, so this will require an ordinance. So what we will be doing today is, if we do think this is a good idea to go ahead with, we'll be directing our attorney to draw up the ordinance that'll be something we'll be taking action on at the next meeting, so. If there's no other discussion, is there a motion? To make the motion? For what? Motion to approve? The variance? Yes. Okay. Second by, so, moved by trustee Ham, second by trustee Moreno. Go ahead with drawing up the ordinance to approve the variance request. Yes.
Lorenzo,
Yes.
Jones,
No.
Sluse,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
and Bowden.
Yes. Okay, so like I said, this will be on the meeting agenda in 2 weeks to make it official, and that's it. So if all you were here for was just for this, you're free to go. Not that I don't want you here, but we're kind of breaking the rules here right now. So.
Thank you all for listening.
Yeah. Okay, so let's return to our agenda. Reports of committees, village administrator report.
I have a report in your packet.
Thank you.
I'll give you paper reports once a month, but I just wanted to point out that there's a federal grant out there for COVID expenses, and the funds based on a per capita basis got conveyed to the county, and we are going to submit some expenses to try and get recover some funding for eligible expenses. So just as an FYI, we're working on that as staff, and we'll keep you posted on that. The mayor's been very diligent in keeping track of that and directing staff to work on that. A COVID van is going to be in town on September 2nd to do testing free to the citizens. We've been marketing that. It's going to be September 2nd here in the Village Hall parking lot from 2 to 5. And we've done some branch policy changes that we've been trying to market out there to the public, and maybe Bob can give some more specifics in his report, just so that we can continue to let the public know about it, because it is a little bit of a change for people, but we want to try to work on that with the public. That's all.
Okay, any questions for the administrator? Bill, police chief's report?
Quickly, for everyone, I know everybody can read now because the air is going to kick in. I just give you a copy. What did you do? Oh no, I gave it to you. Looks like tomorrow the governor's going to be in Joliet, and because of the growth of the virus, some mitigating measures will probably be announced to take place, just like they did in East St. Louis. So I just give you a copy of that. One thing, bars have to be closed at 11, the casinos, restaurants are supposed to make appointments, 25% seating capacity, the bar stools have to be removed, whole guidelines of that for the mitigating factors, but he's going to go to Joliet tomorrow, so they feel he's going to announce that. That's all I really have today.
With the school stuff going on, and right now I know we have like shorter times at school and everything, the school resource officer, how is that going to work out?
Right now, because of the never-changing plan of the school, I talked to Steve Stein, and we're going to leave the resource officer off of there for the next couple of weeks to see what the school does.
Okay.
Once they get going, because they start next Tuesday.
Right.
So we talked about that, and he was fine with that before we start adapting schedules and moving things around. Because at the next board meeting, one of my staff is leaving to go to Kankakee County. September 6th is his last work day. and you'll see his resignation, and that he gave me ample time to plan. So we're looking at that, and I told Steve, once we know the school's gonna be okay, then we'll move around some people to get the SRO back in there, and he was fine with that.
Okay. And then and if the person does go to the other place, are we looking into possibly getting another?
We'll evaluate that once I see where,
We'll do that next time?
well, we won't come in asking for a body, probably at least for a minimum of 30 days. So I can look at things, we'll get by with existing staffing for that. It's just right now, everything's so up and down involving the schools.
Right.
Because one minute they're gonna go learning, computer learning, and next.
They're going in
board
person,
meeting,
and then-
we're going this way, but I think the school still has they're telling their staff to be prepared for, they call it the bug out plan. If, the numbers go up, I mean, we're all watching the news and hearing what's wrong in the school, so. Since they don't start till September 2nd, we're on standby.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
All right, Troy, engineers report.
Yeah, I know Aqua gave an update on the water main project, and they're saying, I think they were saying hopefully September 11th, they're hoping to be complete. We have been reaching out to the railroad a lot. They are telling us that they do expect to issue a permit soon. They said it last week, so I'm hoping we'll get one this week. We did talk to the contractor for the road project, and as of right now, they're ready to start in the middle of September. So, but if it keeps getting pushed back, you never know how their schedule has to adjust. But as of right now, the road contractor will be ready to start in the middle of September.
How are things with I-57 design engineering?
We are currently working on the survey of the field topography still. Yeah, we've done research in the office, but once we get that topo back in, then we can really go full on the design.
Okay. What else we got going? West Street, is that?
The West Street design has been ongoing, and that's, we have to wait for Will County Government to officially approve the federal funding, which will happen in October. And then we'll do an IDOT submittal in November, and then the plan is to have it on an IDOT bid opening in April.
Did Amy talk to you about streetscape design downtown at all?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. So,
Just to kind of give the trustees an update, I've been pushing, I really would like to push to get a streetscape design for our downtown area, that we can use some of our Build Illinois funds and also our TIF funds to make the downtown area look nicer. So if you guys have any ideas, feel free to chime in or let Amy or myself know what you'd like to see down there. But I'd like to at least get a plan so that we know where we're headed. Now that we do have some funds available, that we can do something to make that look nice and more attractive to businesses. So I don't know, Troy, I mean, are you the guys that would do that, or would you work with a planner, or what?
Well, I think for streetscapes, a lot of times planners or landscape architects, they kind of come out with the initial plan for villages, and then we would design the engineering portion of it, roads, sidewalks, stuff like that. I don't think, we don't normally come up with a design unless it's something simple or you guys already have a clear picture of what you want to do.
okay. Do you guys work with a particular planner, or?
Oh, yeah, we have.
Okay.
I can look some up.
Okay.
Yeah.
I emailed you, Amy, today.
Yeah, I saw it.
Those brochures, for the information that the community in Indiana did with their downtown. So, Dr. Marshall's what to do, so he's kind of get an idea how to get things rolling, with, that project, so.
Good.
I'll give you that.
Any other questions for Troy? If not, move on to treasurer's report. Marcy?
Actually, it's not, it's everything we've expected, so it's just the hard reality setting in. far as tax revenues from the state. For the month of July, year over year, month over month, we were 23.5% down from the previous July's tax revenue, which is what we've expected. Looking out fiscal year to date, total dollars, year over year, we're down almost $100,000. So again, what we expected. So early indications from, I have most of the August just to give you, it looks like things are starting to flatten out. And I think next month we might see some video gaming revenue again. So I think that kicked in about June.
July 1st.
Is it July 1st?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe another month out, sorry. But that's where we're at. I mean, you know, we'd like, at this point in time, you know, total revenues, we'd like to see it around 42%. We're at 35. So we're down. But we know it, we're cutting costs where we can, so. Any questions?
Questions at all?
So the remaining portion of the year, do you anticipate it might be getting better, worse, or staying the same?
It all depends on that. I mean, we're shutting down restaurants again and things, so it all depends on what happens in the state. So, I mean, we'll never get those dollars back. They're gone. You know, people aren't gonna spend extra. So, but we'll see.
All right, thanks, Marcy. Bob, Public Works report?
I believe you all received my report. Just a few updates. The fence slats at the DPW building. We started meeting my staff. We assisted the village of Frankfurt with mutual aid after that fierce storm that came through the area. A lot of damage up there. Their board and their mayor greatly appreciated us coming up there. It was pretty cool. The next thing I'm going to talk about is my guys, you know, they're looking to do some training, also myself, I believe flagger training and maybe some defensive driver training. Not that my guys can't drive, but sometimes a refresher course isn't a bad idea. So I'm looking into that in the future. Continue to communicate with Troy on the ongoing projects. Branch pickup guideline, new one is in place. Haven't really heard any negative feedback yet. So it's going so far pretty good. One thing I do want to add is, I know, I think Trustee Button mentioned reaching out for different communities about a surcharge. I did reach out to different communities. The only one that charges a surcharge is Bradley. That varies from $50 to $100.
And that's specifically to pick up larger trees or whatever, limbs. And so everybody else just doesn't do it.
Doesn't do it.
Right.
That's not the home.
And so what's your recommendation?
I'd rather not put my guys in that situation to have to pick it up again. I mean, I think we changed the guidelines to...
So your recommendation is that we don't pick up larger, not for a fee or anything?
Is that due to the damage that could be put on the machine, or because it's dangerous for your guys?
The individuals doing it too. You know,
some of them can be extremely heavy.
Right.
Okay. Go ahead.
The signs on Meadow Lane, there's some like construction signs that say no dumping. Are those necessary?
Those, okay, so that island there has been a constant battle with homeowners, with their branches. They don't like to place them in their yard. We've tried over the years to seed that, get the grass to come a lot better. But it continues to be a dumping ground, and we decided to place some barricades out there with no dumping, kind of get the idea out there that says, hey, we don't want you dumping. So
Is there a difference between having a branch in somebody's front yard or the parkway? Something in here?
I mean, that's an island that's owned by the village, you know what I'm saying? I'd rather have them in their yard, just like everybody else. You know? We're trying to improve that island, that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah. I just think they look tacky, personally.
But we're getting to the point where they'll be removed. I think it really does. Yeah.
The slats at the Public Works building, how were they? So how much did you get done? How long did it take? I mean,
They're tedious. They take a little while. They are easy. Don't get me wrong. It takes a while. You know, they're only this wide.
yeah, okay.
So it's a little tiny. But they, like, once again, they are.
All right, anything else for Bob?
I had a question. There's a 15-yard roll-off up by that building, up by the new building. It's been there for quite some time. Is that dumped on occasion, or?
Yeah, that's for our sweeper dumpings. Instead of dumping them on the ground, we're able to dump into that roll-off as well.
Did you contact Kevin from Frankfurt about the company that can buy scrap?
Yes, me and Chief are working on that as we speak.
Oh, I have one question. I don't know if it's for you, if I should have brought it up during public comment or whatever, but, or if it's the Park District's problem. Somebody dumped domesticated ducks, I guess, at our pond, and people are kind of freaking out about it, and they don't know who to call to come and get them.
That's actually being taken care of right now. One of the ducks was taken out of there by one of the kids over there. They know who the ducks belong to. It's actually somebody over just off of Corning. And they got the white duck and the gray duck. They're trying to get it right now. They are domestic ducks though, so
Okay.
they're going to get them out of there before it's a problem.
Okay.
I know one of my guys, my staff, were actually going to go out there after work and try
It
to
literally just happened about 2 hours ago.
Oh, really? Okay. Thank
them
you.
and get them to a home where they can.
Yeah. Live. All right, thank you. That's all.
All right, and to reiterate what Bob said, a couple of guys from the crew went over to Frankfurt. I got a couple of messages here that I wanted to relay to the board. Kevin Hack, who is the Public Works head in Frankfurt, said, on October 10th, we had a storm that destroyed many mature trees in the village of Frankfurt. The very next morning, I reached out to the village of Peatone to see if they would be willing to assist us with some cleanup. Bob sent a chipper crew to help the next 2 days. We also had assistance from Peatone Township. This help allowed us to get our streets clear and open back up to traffic rather quickly. We appreciate all of Peatone's help. Cleanup took almost 2 full weeks, but it's great knowing we have neighbors are willing and able to help. A huge thank you to the mayor, village trustees, and the staff, Bob, Brandon, and Garrett, for being a ray of sunshine during such a nasty storm. And then also from the village of Frankfurt, it says, Dear Mayor, on behalf of the entire Frankfurt community, I wish to extend our sincere appreciation to the village of Peatone for assisting us with cleanup efforts in the aftermath of the storm that moved across our region on Monday, August 10th. The storm caused significant tree-related damage, and thanks to you and your dedicated staff, we were able to clear debris and restore our community quickly. Your willingness to furnish equipment and personnel to help the Frankfurt community is sincerely appreciated. Sincerely, Jim Holland, Mayor, Village of Frankfurt. So, all right. Thanks, Bob.
And that's what mutual is all about, so.
Yep.
Helping your neighbors. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right, onward. We don't have any old business, new business. Special event amplifier permit. Main Street Dance, request amplifier permit for August 29th, 2020 for open dance performance special events with street closure of South First Street. So, you've got that information in your packet. Gary, you want to just give us a little minute summary of what you want there?
I mean, actually, the goal here is to just put the kids on the stage so that we can shoot a video of them. Get to wear their costumes. Some of the younger kids, their costumes aren't even going to fit them next year. So we're just trying to be proactive and do what we can. We actually have the north end of the Will County Atrium secured. Talked to them. They said everything was, in case the weather was bad. So we've kind of been watching the weather daily. It looks like we may be able to pull this thing off, but we're trying to hold down the gathering. We're not advertising yet. We don't have any vendors. However, when looking at it with my wife and my daughters, I said, look, you know, people see some activity, they hear good music, there may be some people that congregate. If we ask the village if we can open up the street, that'll give us some more room. We'll put some signage out there. We also have a sound system so we can make announcements for people to not congregate so much and do the best we can.
Perfect.
Like I said, we're just trying to move forward. We're not trying to have a big gathering. We're just trying to accomplish and complete 2020 and move on.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
It's been moved by trustee Ham, second by trustee Maravka.
Trustee Jones.
Oh, trustee Jones, I'm sorry.
You're throwing your voice again.
Yeah, sorry.
Jones and Maravka?
Jones,
Yes.
Maravka, yeah.
So that's for everything for the
For the-
amplifier and
yeah.
the street closure as well?
Yes. Correct, Mike? Both, yeah.
Okay. Jones?
Yes.
Marevka?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
Sluse?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
And Bowden?
All righty, next.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Gary, good luck.
Police chief.
Next is new business registration, Gina Ray's Peace and Wellness, 110 North 2nd Street. Would you like to, you're Gina?
I am not.
You're not.
You know, it's funny that you said that. I'm Rachel Egler, actually, and I'm in the middle of collaborating with somebody to get some signage, and we're going back and forth now about the name because he says people are going to constantly call you and say, is this Gina? And I'm going to say, I'm going to take a message for her. The name spins off my daughter's middle name, so I kind of want to keep it that way just because it's special to me. But, you know, I am Rachel. I'm looking to open a wellness center here in town, which will be very focused on yoga. That'll be its main aspect. And also a big piece of it is going to be mental health and mental health awareness. It's going to start at the preteen level. I'm a certified yoga teacher, and I'm also a training leader in a program called True Self-Empowerment, and it's for preteens, girls ages 10 to 13, and it really talks about building their self-esteem and letting them know their self-worth. And again, I feel like it's a really big mental health piece, not only to prepare them for coming into junior high and all of everything they're going to go through, but again, just keeping them stable with everything that's going on in the world today. I'm a firm believer that yoga and meditation are incredibly helpful when it comes to mental health, not only for the youth, but for adults as well.
Any questions? Entertain a motion, or did you like to say something?
I reviewed her zoning. She would be locating at 110 North 2nd Street in downtown, so we have another downtown business. I reviewed her zoning. Her service business fits in the B1 zoning, which is what that building is. Her classes would be the 12 class maximum only at this time.
Yes. It probably will only fit that anyways, just how far, I mean, you need to be spaced out, so everybody is pretty 6 feet apart during that.
And you're looking to open around September 10th?
Yes. So I would like to plan like an open house grand opening on the 12th, which is conveniently the same day as the park